Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. And welcome to episode 3 of the show that you don't know that you love yet because you're probably not watching it right now as it is broadcasting for the first time. It might be 5 years down the road. We're all gray and retired, but you're watching it, and that's the point that counts. Welcome to the Roundtable Movie Podcast. I am. My name is not important. They call me Dinklage, but I always have my lovely co-host with me. I'm going to start tonight. I'm starting down on this corner here. Uh, I call her Puka. That's our running joke. But this is Miss Tina Winter. Tina, how are you?
I'm good.
I thought you was going to
I'm
leave.
in a
I was like,
mood to discuss some movies. Let's go. I
all
should have
right,
had I should have had popcorn and eat that during the
That's true. I should have done the same.
man. If they ever invent the technology where we can hand each other stuff through the screens, it's a wrap. But trust me. I mean, Tina, here you go,
Yeah.
popcorn coming in. And what the hell? Anyway, moving along. And over here, this lovely lady you may recognize from such popular shows as Four People That Talk About Football, or Three People That Talk About Football, and a crazy guy that just rips off the top of his head because he knows absolutely nothing about the rookies that he's talking about. And they the show is titled kind of similarly, but this young lady right here knows all about all things diversity. That's why we call her Diversity with Delilah. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Delilah Crespo. Hey Delilah, how you doing?
Hey, everybody. All right. This is going to be a fun one tonight. I'm excited.
So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are discussing, bear with me here a second. We are discussing a movie that came out in the year 2000. It was produced by Disney about a school that integrated their team, and their coach was black. And we'll get a little deeper into that. But ladies and gentlemen, you recognize the pictures, you recognize the actors. Remember the Titans starring Denzel Washington, an excellent movie, and that's what we're looking to talk about here today. So I gave you a little bit of the backstory. The real story behind this is schools were desegregated in the late 1960s, and in Alexandria, Virginia, which is roughly about 45 minutes from where I lived when I was in the DC area. They had desegregated the schools, and the sports teams were just starting to learn how to play together on the same team as opposed to playing each other as opposing teams of people of color. And what it just sounds so. What is it? We got to come up with a. You know what? Sidebar. We have to come up with a better word for white people, Caucasians, because white people just sound so like people of color, white people.
Mayo.
So, but that was
Everybody calls us the Mayo people.
oh, man. Don't get me started. There was a whole discussion today at work. We talk about that off camera. Anyhow, Lowry Salt. That's all I have to say.
Yep.
Anyhow, they were learning to play together. There was a lot of friction. There was a lot of tension. There was a lot of kickback from the parents and things like that. And Herman Boone, who already was a PE teacher at the school, in which you saw a picture of him and Coach Yoast during the collage there. Did Chewy just get something?
No, that was me knocking
Oops.
shit on. He's actually down sleeping. Though when you called his name, he raised his head up like, huh?
Yeah. So, Coach, you saw the picture of Coach Yoast, the actual picture of Coach Yoast and Coach Boone. Um, there were a lot of parents that were opposed to their children playing on a football team that had a black coach, and there were teams that had problems with playing against an integrated team that had so many black players. You all know the story. You all know the story. If you all know the story, if you've seen the movie, but he managed to lead the team to an undefeated season. Not only an undefeated season, but a state championship, and they wound up being ranked second overall in the entire nation when the end of season high school football polls came about. So, but to get back into this movie, ladies, you both have seen it. I'm 100% sure you both seen it. This is one of my. it's hard to really say what's your favorite Denzel movie because there are so many, and it depends on like Tina and I have been around since Denzel was on Saint Elsewhere. Okay, so I remember him in Saint Elsewhere and Glory in his early movies, and then he's had just banger after banger since then. But it's just hard to say. But Denzel definitely personified what I would imagine Coach Boone went through as he was in that situation as that coach of that team. Uh, so I'm gonna hand this over to who wants to go first. Raise your hand. Don't everybody speak at once. Okay, Delilah, you win. She's like, I didn't raise my hand.
Giggled.
I was just touching my nose.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Delilah, I want to get your 2 cents on this movie, like thoughts and feelings about it.
Yeah, so I enjoyed this film a lot. These are also a lot of films that we show like our like middle school students, right? We're teaching like desegregation and also in high schools. Like I know this is a movie that's often used in social studies and history classes, right? Because it kind of dives deep into sorry about that. Like you're saying into like the segregation and what that meant, not just in the schools itself, but like teams like this, like, right, how do you bring people together who have never played together before, right?
Right.
Sometimes not even seen each other before, like, or played against each other, right? Because a lot of times all those schools kind of had their own conferences, or they didn't call them conferences at this time, but you know what I mean, kind of had their own like regional stuff. And so they often didn't even play each other. Even though they might live close to each other, right? Or like a couple miles away, they still weren't attending the same schools, the same colleges and all this. So seeing that play out, even though it's dramatized, right? Because I know they embellish stuff as they do, right? To make things more exciting. But at the same time, I have been told, and I'm sure you could tell me better, Anthony, that the portrayal of Coach Boone was pretty spot on, or at least like the attitude or whatever,
Yes.
Which being Denzel Washington, I'm not surprised. And so they said that was pretty spot on as to how he engaged with the players, right? The community and all of that. They said that was pretty close. I'm sure all the other stuff was more sensationalized and stuff, but like they said, his portrayal was pretty spot on. I also forgot, like, I sometimes forget that Will Patton has been in a lot of movies, but he's always like in roles. Yeah, so you
just look up at me like, is that right there?
I always kind of, because then like, and I know I'm diving, but then I'm like, oh, that's right, you're in Armageddon also, and so like I just kind of
Hayden Panettiere was in too. First major movie.
Yeah, there were.
I saw. Yeah. So it's like, so when I was rewatching the movie and then looking at like the quotes and stuff, I'm like, oh, that's right, he was in this movie as the assistant coach or co-coach. I forgot, but he was there to kind of help as well, like be the white coach to kind of like.
Well, the actual story behind that was that he was Coach Yoast was supposedly going to take over as the head coach following the resignation.
Coach Yoast. Sorry, I called him by his real name instead of Coach Yoast. See what I mean?
Right. And then they decided to promote Coach Boone to that spot, which I'm sure, as you can imagine, to a particular portion of the team, they weren't very happy about it. You know what I mean? Now that, but to the other point that you made, there were a lot of things that were sensationalized in the film just for the sake of art, like the thing with the banana that they said that never took place, and that Sunshine really was a real person, but he did come from California, and he did play quarterback, but he didn't have long hair. So there were, they took a few liberties here or there for art. But yeah,
I mean, we had a long-haired blonde kid that was a backup quarterback on Broncos, and I called him Sunshine the entire time he was on the team because he just reminded me of Sunshine from the movie. Like,
Trevor Lawrence got Sunshine a lot too.
Oh yeah,
this is pre-Trevor. But yeah. I mean, the guy even looked like Kip Purdue, who's the character. Yes, I know the guy's name.
6 points to Gryffindor.
I prefer Ravenclaw, but I'll take
it. I said what I said. I know what the movie quote say. 6 points to Gryffindor. That's what I said. You doing that thing again? You did at the start of the
That's
last
so
show.
funny.
I know. I seen it on the clip when it came on today. I'm sorry.
Right.
Please proceed.
Okay, so Delilah didn't say what her favorite Denzel movie was, but I
Oh,
will.
was I supposed to? I dived right into Remember the Titans. I apologize.
Yeah, you did.
I dove right into an actual movie and like liking the film. And
So,
like,
which one is your favorite Denzel
I
movie?
apologize. I was just so like, oh, let me talk about with football around the corner. You know, I'm like, let me just dive right into football.
Because it means the point of the movie and what it does with your teaching at school and everything. It really means something to you.
Yeah.
So and I get that. I want to know what your favorite Denzel movie is because I sometimes think what you say says a lot about you. So.
Oh man. I've seen pretty much every single movie. Oh,
We didn't write the answers on the ceiling for you.
I know.
No.
I'm just thinking. I'm sorry because there's some movies that I like better than others, and I'm just like for different reasons. But you're saying like favorite.
Okay, you're sitting there. You have his whole collection in front of you, and you can only watch one of that. Which one will you pull? Just automatically, which is the one you reach for?
I don't know. Like maybe this does say a lot about me, but I'm gonna dive into this Equalizer movies.
No, actually, I think that's probably one of his. That I liked him in those movies.
I guess dive into the Equalizer films. Is that my favorite? Like, but it's fun, and I like the way he does it because it's smart and it's different from John Wick. Even though there's always been the jokes about like, what if they fought each other? Like, who would win? But I like the way it's done because it's not just he's not just like a typical assassin. Like he does all these like elaborate things. Gotta get at you. It's like, and it's not necessarily like super bloody. It's like really intelligent, and so he sits there and he does the clock, right, the timing to keep track of like how he'll kill you.
And it's all at close quarters.
Yeah, all close, right, and like just, and then the
Very
ticking, the ticking, and because in each film he also really is saving a life. Like that's the other part too. Like. He doesn't want to do this, but like in the first one, he saved someone that no one would think about, right? A sex worker, let's be honest. And I like that film shows that they have value. They're still humans. You should care about people. So I like that part. And the second one, I think, was the kid, right? Where he was in the projects and they were painting. Is that the second one? Yes, that's the second one. But that's what I mean, like, I like that aspect of it, which is the point, right? The Equalizer, that was the point. Like he levied the field, right? People who reach out, which the
people who can't help themselves.
Yeah, Queen Latifah show does a better job with that because they really do show how she doesn't take everything. People reach out to her for help, and so like, now I'm bringing Queen Latifah. But the show is really great too.
I mean, that's a series where they've had time to establish her character.
that people
versus a 2-hour movie,
right? So, exactly. So. But I like that idea of really, he is helping the downtrodden, right? People that people forgotten about because he doesn't want to do this, but he's like, there's no one fighting for these people, right? And so like, I do like that aspect of it. So it's not just like, again, I'm not hating on John Wick. I don't want people to come at me. But I do like that. And the Equalizer side, there really is a story. There's a reason why he does what he does. And like, he does want to stay retired, but he is speaking for the downtrodden. And so I do like the Equalizer films in that way.
Yeah.
So I do like those a lot.
Your turn, Miss Tina. Did you give us one? No?
Mine are kind of, I do have two because it's actually the same two actors in the movie. My favorite one of his is it called American? Is it the one where he was the drug dealer? American Psycho? Is that what they called it?
American Gangster.
That's it. American Gangster. Because I think him and Russell Crowe choose scenery together so very well.
Yeah.
And then the flip of that, where Denzel was the good guy and Russell was the bad guy, is Virtuosity. Nick and I talked about that movie. I loved that movie. Like the
Yeah.
idea of that. So like the two of them, the movies are them playing different characters, playing the
Yeah.
opposite
Yeah.
characters and stuff.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, I loved American Gangster. Even though it has a lot of historical inaccuracies in it,
Right.
they took a lot of
Liberties.
they took a lot of dramatic license with that
Yeah.
for it being a true story and everything. But
Right.
I really like that. I know a lot of people love Training Day, but for me, great movie. But I didn't have any. For me, great movie, wonderful movie. But I didn't. I'm not from that area. I'm not from that life. I had no idea what really like. I couldn't really get into it.
Right. No, I
Okay.
got that. Yeah. No, you're right.
Mine. Oh, I didn't realize we were doing favorite Denzel movies. I
That's what
think I
you
was. I
said.
think. Well, no, I was going somewhere with that thought process. But since we're going that way, since we're going that way,
I thought that's what
uh,
you said. That's why I was like,
no, I was saying,
oh,
I was
That's what I
okay.
saying,
thought he said too.
well, and that's my bad. I'm gonna have to go back and sorry, y'all. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this
I was like,
later. Is what I
okay.
said. But since we're talking their favorite Denzel movies, hands down, without question, love all of them. But without question, John Q.
John Q was fantastic.
I
That made
mean,
me
I
cry.
know it kind of was. It kind of was just
No.
I don't want to say a one scene movie because a lot took place in that one place, but the bulk of the entire bulk of the movie took place in that one room.
I
But it
know.
was just the fact that he was willing to do anything and everything to make sure that his kid survived. No,
Uh,
I reject that out of hand.
I cried
He's a
so
good
much.
kid. He plays baseball. He loves red. You'd like him.
I cried so much. That's a
So
good movie.
sick help. Sick help. Okay. I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right,
so
he said
where
it.
were
It doesn't
you
matter how many
going
times
with the statement
I
when
Yeah.
forgot. Well, I forgot now.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said. So that's why I was like, okay,
I
it's not
forgot.
like the equal
Okay.
films are
Well,
my
well,
favorites, but if
let's
I'm gonna grab one for fun, I'm like, oh, let me watch this. Like, let me pop it in
let
the
me
thing.
reel this back. Let me reel all of this back in since we're
Go
here to
back to
talk.
football and
Since we're
remember the
we're
talking
supposed
Titans.
to be talking about
Remember the
Remember
Titans.
the Titans.
Yeah, let's go back.
It's just it's. I think the point that I was trying to make was that he really it's for me
Mm-hmm.
knowing the history of that story since it's based on a true story. I think this is where I
Right.
was going with this.
Ah,
He for me this was probably the best embodiment of a character because I know the backstory. Like I grew up with my dad telling me about Herman Boone and agile,
mm-hmm.
mobile, hostile, and how T.C. Williams did blah 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 blah. But I'm so now I'm ashamed to say this. I'm so opaque. The number of times I drove by T.C. Williams and did not realize that was a school where everything took place in Herman Boone and rah rah rah. Yeah, I didn't realize that
Right.
was TC Williams. I'm sorry, those of you from Virginia, my Virginia peoples that are watching this right now. I did not realize that was DTC Williams High School until right before I moved out here.
I
Sorry,
understand.
but
All right.
so that one was that for me is Denzel's in that movie the best embodiment of a story that is based on a true story.
Ah, okay.
Um, and then the chemistry that he had with Will Patton,
Mm-hmm.
it was great. Um, I think they accurately portrayed two people that knew they had to work together, but didn't quite know whether or not they could trust each other yet. But they were
Mm,
still willing to work together, put differences aside for the goals, the common goals of a team.
I agree.
Um, so
Yeah, I
yeah,
think in the beginning you definitely got that tension.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, Hayden Panettiere's character is the one who was like, "Well, my daddy was supposed to have that job."
right.
Like
Right.
you get the tension, and you get,
Right.
and they had to show that kind of stuff because you said movies you're cutting out exposition, so you've got to use other kind of cues to kind of get
Right.
people to go. We all know most people know about that time in America and what it really was like, so you don't have to explain why the boys were uncomfortable playing with each other. um, but the two of them having to work together, but yeah, they end up working it out and all of it. So I mean, and also like a lot of the movies when we were talking about doing some of this, phenomenal soundtrack.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
True.
very,
yeah.
very good soundtrack. Now, you don't see it on streaming. You don't see the movie. And
You mean it's not on Disney Plus anywhere?
well, it might be on Disney Plus, but a
I mean,
lot of these movies that have some of these older songs and all of it, you can't get the streaming rights to them.
Oh, I see.
So they can't play it.
I got you.
The only reason I know this is because you guys remember the show China Beach that was on ABC?
Yeah,
Yes.
a long time
With
ago.
Dana Delaney
Dana
and those
Delaney.
guys. I loved that series, and we read a book that Kristen Hanna has a book called The Women, and that book reminded me a lot of China Beach, and I was like trying to find it, and you couldn't find it anywhere online. And I started doing some research, and the reason is they got the rights to use the music when they aired and on VHS, but streaming wasn't around when they got the rights. So it'd be so expensive for them to be able to get the rights to stream it that you just can't
Well, that's
get
good
it on
to know.
TV. So, and they can't even show it on TV anymore because almost everything is streaming. So, but yeah, you see it once in a while on Disney, but you don't see it on regular TV that much anymore.
Yeah,
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like you turn it on a Saturday or a Sunday morning or in mid afternoon, and it would be Remember the Titans would be on, or
Right,
The
I
Money,
get it.
or those kinds of
Yeah.
things. And so it was just a movie that if it flip on, I'd watch it for
Right.
however long I could watch it, because it was a really entertaining, very, very entertaining movie. So
yeah, and you already kind of cracked the seal on another thing that I noticed about this. You cracked the seal on this, but going back and looking at it now, the number of people that came out of that movie, I mean, it wasn't like a plethora, but the
Right.
number of people that came out of that movie, you talked about Hayden Panettiere, then there was Ryan Gosling, there's Ethan Suplee, who, by the way, has lost a bunch of weight and is completely jacked. Wood.
they got all these young unknown people.
Right.
So they had Will Patton and they had Denzel Washington, and then Denzel's wife, who was also on the cusp, and I can't remember what her character, who she was, but like you go through that list of everybody else, and it's just all these people that we know who they are.
Yeah,
Donald Faison was in it.
I was working my way there. I was working my way there with that right there.
Kate Bosworth was in this movie.
She sounds awfully. That name sounds familiar. I wonder where I heard that name at. Yeah, still no Lois Lane for you.
No. But Faison I love because obviously Scrubs, which that show,
and that's
like underrated comedy in my opinion.
Which leads me to our first clip of the show. This is where Coach Boone gets to meet the team for the first time.
Put your hand down. You smiling?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Why are you smiling?
Because I love football. Football's fun.
Fun, sir.
Fun, sir.
It's fun.
Yes.
You sure?
I think.
Now you're thinking. First you smile, then you think. You think football is still fun?
Yes.
Sir?
Yes. No.
No?
Sir. Well, it was fun.
Not anymore, though, is it? Is it?
No, not right now.
No, it's not fun anymore. Not even a little bit.
No.
Make up your mind.
No.
Think. Since you're thinking, now go on, think.
No,
Is it fun?
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Absolutely not?
Zero fun, sir.
All right, listen up. I'm Coach Boone. I'm going to tell you all about how much fun you're going to have this season.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, where Coach Boone meets Petey Jones for the very first time. Petey Jones, wow, there was a lot of Petey Jones went on to. He was born at the Witt Army Hospital. Fun little tidbit about this. Supposedly, this scene was complete improvisation. None of that part was scripted. He was supposed to walk in, introduce himself, give his speech about if you don't show up to practice, you don't play, blah, blah. But Donald Faison decided to have a little fun, and Denzel not realizing Denzel was locked in, and Denzel let him have it, which is why he's like, yeah.
Or maybe Donald Faison was sitting there going, "Oh my god!" Like this smile, this stupid smile he's on his face. It's Denzel Washington. I'm in a scene with Denzel Washington.
Yeah, that's funny. I
And
didn't know that was scripted, but that's funny.
Yeah.
and it decided to they decided to make that a part of the to keep that in the movie. I mean, God,
That was a smart decision on their part.
I'm pretty sure when they said cut, everybody fell slap out because
That was a good decision.
You saw the one guy behind him. He's just like, his face is like stone.
You know what? Like, it set the tone because it showed us who he was, and we knew this is gonna be the guy making us laugh throughout the movie.
Yeah,
like this is the guy who we're gonna be like, what? Laughing and like, so even though it's we know that it's most likely real life PD didn't do this, but it's still funny to see because he was supposed to be the heart of the the one that did the camaraderie, right? He did kind of bridge a lot of stuff because of his personality, so it did set the tone for that.
He was the jokester of the group, and he was the one that he wasn't getting too deep into what was going on around him. He just wanted to play football and make friends. And so, you can kind of build around that. So,
and in real life, P.D. Jones went on to work. Where he went on to work for Alexandria City Public Schools for 29 years. He went on to work for 29 years. He was a security guard at the school where he was a legend, and so a lot of the kids didn't really give him too much guff because they were like, "Yo, man, don't mess with Mr. Jones. That's Speedy." Passed away in 2019 after a battle with cancer at the age of 65. But that was P.D. Jones and Donald Faison. Donald Faison. I mean, we've seen him in Scrubs. We've seen him in his T-Mobile commercials, even,
which are hilarious because they got the
absolutely
together.
Hilarious,
genius marketing,
absolutely hilarious. Who else were we talking about that came out of this?
Well,
movie?
They also had, even though Ryan Gosling was in there, I learned that his character was fictional. Like he wasn't like a real player or a real person,
right?
So like Alan Bosley wasn't a real character, and then Ray Buds wasn't a real character because I didn't like when I watched the film the first few times. I'm like, okay, I paid attention to like the starting, you know what I mean, and so then I didn't really look at like Ryan Gosling too closely, and so then I learned a couple days ago that these two characters were fictional, but they were added for the tension,
to kind of flesh things out,
to kind of show, right, and so like Ray Buds getting kicked out because of him being intolerant, right, and then Alan Bosling be like, oh, let's all get together, like
also what will happen sometimes in the movie is they will create a character as a stand in the gap for somebody who was an actual part of that actor. Perfect case in point, Black Hawk Down. The guy Stebby, the guy who made the coffee, then he was talking about it's all in the grind, Sergeant. He was based on a real soldier who took place in that raid, who unfortunately is serving, I think, consecutive terms at Leavenworth for some less than stellar behavior. So they, instead of putting him in the film, his character and changed the name. So there may be some of that too. I would like to think not, but sometimes
I'm not sure. I just saw that Alan Bosley and Ray Buds, those two characters, were fictional and added to the movie to play out the the more dramatization side of the film versus the biographical part of the film.
Yeah. And like we said, there were some cinematic liberties taken in the film. Uh, just for I think more so for filler, just because everybody already knows the story.
Right.
Everybody knows the crux of the story. Herman Boone, black coach, recently integrated school, leads them to a national, almost to a national championship, state championship, et
Right.
cetera, et cetera. But then beyond that, fleshing out the rest of the story. Uh, Now, one person who in the movie, another character that was in the movie that did truly exist is Gary Bertier, who was
Mhm.
friends, who by the end of the movie wound up being friends with Julius Campbell, played by Wood Harris, who another actor who went on to bigger and better things. I believe he was in BMF and The Wire, following his
Mhm.
following his turn in following his turn in this movie. Left Side, Strong Side. And then we do know that in the
Right.
movie it did imitate real life with Jerry's injury. Um, fun after the movie. After not after the movie. Gosh, make it sound like he had the accident. Played was in the movie. Then after the movie, fun after high school. Fact: he went on to become a very well known Paralympian. In the shot put and broke several records in the shot put. But I
Cool.
think, yeah, I'm doing all the talking. I'm gonna pass the baton. Tina, your turn.
That is a very different look than he had when he was in Remember the Titans.
Yes,
Definitely.
he actually looks
Like,
like
come on.
a member of Duck Dynasty.
It's a
Oh,
still from when he was in Sons of Anarchy. That's
that's
the
funny.
way
Oh, that's
he
right.
looks
He
like
was on
that.
Sons of Anarchy. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. He did end up
yeah.
in a lot of stuff after this
Well,
movie.
it was like you said. I mean, there was a lot of young. They had some very talented kids and young kids playing this. I'm still sitting here thinking of Donald Faison going,
That was good.
Fun, sir. It was fun.
Yeah.
So
The
fun,
like,
sir.
we
movie
all
was
know that scene is supposed to be like drama, and you just have him sitting there.
fun. He turned it into comedic relief.
It just,
But it did break the tension though,
yeah.
which I'm sure Faison kind of was like, you know what if we kind of cut through some of this and I'm gonna just kind of play with this a little bit and like disarm a few people and just kind of bring the locker room like together. You know what I mean? It's kind of
In
break
my head, because the
it.
way like his eyes were kind of blank, and
Yeah.
the way he just had that stupid grin the entire time. He's like, I don't know what to do. This is gonna end up on the cutting room floor. I know it.
Well,
And it
So
didn't. And it ended
that was
up,
cool.
it
there, there,
was.
there have been tons of stories about Denzel. Denzel being the master of his craft.
Yeah.
Just where people have tried to trip Denzel, and he just kind of just keeps going. Who was it? I forgot what the movie was. I think it was a Training Day. Um, Training Day, and the entire time during the movie, dude was like Denzel didn't crack a smile, wouldn't give nobody no dap, no nothing. So then later on, we're at the screening and I'm, doing the, with the press and waving to the
Yes.
fans or whatever. And I just feel this big, bear hug behind me and this laugh. And I look and it's Denzel. And I'm like, yo, Zell. What the whole time, I did another thing. I just recently found out that people that know him like that apparently call him Zell. So, but I was like, yo,
I was like,
Zell.
who?
It's like, yo, Zell, what's up, man? Like the whole time we on set, you never cracked a smile or
Yeah.
laughed or joked or hung with us or nothing. He was like, I was in character, fool. Like the
No.
whole movie, like he shows up on set. Don't you do that. I already
Yeah.
lost steak and potatoes. I would cry if I not
Right.
right there.
Right.
Chicken
I
wings
mean,
would not be good for Luna.
that's something to talk about too in following that train of thought of Denzel of how method acting has become a little controversial.
Yeah.
because some actors feel like that's actually not necessary. And so we've had some like actual prominent actors going like, yeah, it's not necessary. Like you don't have to like go that far. Like they're not saying to be in character, but they're saying you don't have to take it as far as some people have.
Mhm.
And so like, you know, so there has been some people who question that type of practicing your craft of like, do you have to be like in character the whole time? Like,
If
so
that's
I
what
mean,
it
I love
takes
Denzel
for
Washington.
you to
I'm not
get,
saying the film
yeah.
didn't come out great, like in whatever he does. But since this is a movie show, there is some people have questioned that type of like honing your craft of his method acting, taking it to
Oh,
that
man.
extreme necessary. Because a lot of like people are kind of pushing back on that, saying like, yeah, you don't need to do that. Like there are some that, you know, who are known for it, like really known for it, right? We know
Joaquin
Heath Ledger
Phoenix.
was that kind of person, and some people are like, I feel like when it's gone to that extreme too, some people bring it up like that some people take to that far where their like psyche starts breaking down, or like maybe we shouldn't like take the method acting to
Yeah.
such an extreme where you lose yourself. And, you know, so,
Yeah, but this is all I have to say about that is I get it. There's some actors that can break in and out of character and it's no
Right.
problem. But if Heath Ledger ever broke out of the Joker, then you're not going to be giving the same intensity to, because I mean the Joker crazy. He's literally crazy.
Yeah, so
So
that has come into
yeah.
Now,
But the
why?
thing
Now,
about
why would you
Denzel that I
go and say
see
a
is
thing
like
like that, Tina?
he might have been doing it, but he wasn't somebody that took it to a completely different
Right.
level. And so I don't think method acting is I think it depends on what you are and how you deal with your characters, and especially if you're playing someone who's the complete opposite of who you are, breaking that character because do we really think Denzel Washington is like that police officer in Training Day?
But that's not what that's not what they're saying. It's more like they're more going into the psychological like
or things
harm
like or
of
things
it.
like
And that's where some of it that's where it's more the concern. So it comes more from the concerns about what does that do to like a person's like psyche, emotional, you know what I mean? That's kind of where they're going into it. So I know, but so again, some people take to
exactly.
extreme.
Yeah, I understand because
Christian Bale, he became like emaciated for that one role where he played
he
the
lost like
machine.
80 something.
Yeah, the machine. Like he
50
literally
Cent, 50 Cent did the same thing too.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So that's where I think sometimes people are like, well, you're like severely like hurting yourself, right? They're like, is that really necessary? And that's I'm going to the extremes, but I think that's where they're starting to question some of this. Denzel, I've never seen him take it that far. I don't, you know what I mean? But there have been questions, or even the opposite. These people who bulk up for the superhero movies, they don't get as big as they did when they first started doing it, because some are like, that cannot be natural the way you quickly packed on like 300 pounds because they've shown like kind of side by side Hugh Jackman putting on muscle now versus when he originally did Wolverine, where we're like,
he can't. Yeah. His body is
right.
He's
so
not
that's
30 years old playing Wolverine.
Yeah.
So I mean,
so I guess that's where some of that comes into play. But then we take it to someone like Heath Ledger, who hurt himself psychologically by doing, so. But anyway, it's just interesting since we're talking about method acting and how like he stayed in character. Like I thought it was kind of cool to dive into.
But I also think a lot of the people that have some problems with method acting, it's because they can't do it. Like they cannot stay in that character.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get the point because like Marlon Brando was a famous method actor, and he was and
I heard. Oh yeah,
Jack
I know all about
Jack Nicholson was not.
Yeah.
But here's the difference to me is no hate on Jack Nicholson, so don't come after me, people. Do you ever not see Jack Nicholson in a portrayal of his?
I think it's been a while. There was a time when I could.
Oh, it's Jack. You
Yeah,
see
not now.
Jack
100%.
in his characters.
Yeah.
Jack
All
Nicholson is Jack Nicholson is Jack
Is
Nicholson.
Jack
Jack
Nicholson.
Nicholson. Any character he's playing is basically the Joker
He's taking
as Jack
himself
Nicholson.
and taking on certain
Yeah.
things, but you always see Jack in his
I
role.
see what you mean. Yeah.
Marlon Brando, even in the Godfather character was kind of Marlon Brando to an extreme.
Right.
But Marlon Brando would
It was.
lose himself in that character, and you wouldn't
Right.
see him anymore. And that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, I think that's the difference between, because there's so many different acting schools and all this other stuff about this
Correct.
idea. I do think the good actors that are more innately talented tend to go more towards the method acting, because then they become the character. They don't have to think about motivation. They just do it. But I think a lot of people who, like, you don't see Meryl Streep, to me, she can be in and out of characters, no problem.
Yeah.
She doesn't really do, but she does a slight, she's more like, I think more like a Denzel type of method actor.
She doesn't really
She gets into her characters and she tries to stay as close to them as she can, but she's not going so far in that she becomes Anna Wintour for a year while she's filming Devil Wears Prada.
Right, you're right. 1,000%. No, you're right. And you could see that, right?
Right.
We've seen red carpets where people still refuse to like break character, and you're like, dude, just be you on the
what's
floor.
his name?
But,
He was no, Daniel Day-Lewis to me is the epitome of nowadays method actor. Like, he will not break character. That's
he's notorious for that, and now he's unretired. But anyway, so going back to Remember the Titans, I'm sorry. So here's some differences, right? Let's go back into the movie of like kind of some moments that happened. Apparently, that dramatic run through Gettysburg Cemetery at 3 a.m. never happened.
Right.
Yeah.
They did visit the battlefields. Now that they did do. So they did visit the
President
battlefield.
Nixon sent he was very interested in meeting his team because they were starting to make national news, and not only that, Alexandria. Okay, distance-wise, Alexandria is maybe 40 minutes from the nation's capital. However, with traffic, it's more like a little longer than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that part did happen.
So, but they definitely did not do that 3 a.m. run. But they said, yes. So he did visit battlefields during the training camp, but they didn't do the run at 3 a.m. That famous one, like, never happened. And then they said that the real life championship was actually a blowout victory for the Titans.
Well, they had to make it more dramatic. They
had to figure out a way
to give it a little air of suspense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Gettysburg.
Blowout victory.
I'm glad you brought up Gettysburg in the camp because that leads to our next clip. A speech that Coach Boone gave at the camp in the movie, at least to the best of our knowledge, that he gave at camp.
We will be perfect in every aspect of the game. You drop a pass, you run a mile. You miss a blocking assignment, you run a mile. You fumble the football, and I will break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts. And then you will run a mile. Perfection.
That's it.
John Brown hind pants.
So for any of you that have heard me say that on any of the Let's Talk Football shows that are watching this right now, that's where I got that from. If you ain't, dude, now you know, and knowing is half the battle. I love that. I love that. How many feet, Mr. Jones? How many feet are in a mile? 5,280 feet. You will pick up this ball and you will run it every foot of them. You killing me, Petey.
I mean, he could have. Now they're not saying that speech didn't happen, so I can see him the way Coach Boone, the way you described Coach Boone, and you said that Denzel played him pretty close to. So I can see that being a speech he gave to his player, right? Because he's trying to whip them into shape too, not just not just get the. That's the other part too. I think that gets lost is that this was not a good football program in the beginning. Like not the way you know it now, but like that was the other thing,
he used the enemy of my enemy as my friend.
right? So
So
like
he
that was
comes in, and all the black kids think they're going to be fine. He beats the crap out of them.
he wants everybody to
And
earn
then
their spot.
he goes in and he does the same thing with all of the white kids. So all the kids hate him. So like, but that forces them to then start working together
Exactly.
and realizing like, hey, if we work together, we might be able to make this manageable for ourselves.
And you have to earn your spot on the team, right? Because that's the other part too. Your spot on the team was not like automatic, and so like that was the other thing. He was like, "No, you got to earn this. Like, it's not. I'm not going to give it to you."
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the whole thing. Like they're sitting there and they figure out like PD is better in this position than what he was playing.
Exactly.
All of that, and you got a
Which
brain.
happens in football. That's what makes this like not just a true story, but a realistic football film. Sometimes, and we've heard it, right? We've heard of even shifting from the like what they started playing in high school, then they go to college and they shift around and like, oh wait, this is a better position, and then they go to NFL and they kind of find like maybe this isn't for you.
It's like I played running back all through little league, all up through high school, part of college, and the coach was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about being a wide receiver?" Because I had this speed, and the next thing you know, now I'm out running slants and go routes. You know what I mean? And so
yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point too, Tina. That PD didn't stay in the position that he started off in the beginning.
Well, he didn't think football was. He also didn't. I don't think he knew what position he was playing after that conversation he had with Coach on day one.
Like, wait.
Yes, I'm not sure, sir. Zero fun, sir. So, again, those of you that are just joining us, welcome to the Roundtable Movie Podcast. I am Dinklage. That is Delilah. This is Miss Tina, aka Puka, and we are discussing Remember the Titans and a little bit of some of everything else too. Excellent, absolutely excellent movie with Denzel Washington and Will Patton, and a whole host of actors and actresses that eventually would move on to their own individual different levels of recognition beyond this movie some 25 years after its release. It just, I mean, it's
came out in 2000.
In 2000, 25 years ago this year. Speaking of, complete side note, I had a serious senior citizen moment. I may have mentioned this note because I haven't seen you all this week. The sports station that I listen to on the radio, they have a segment every day with birthdays, and it always starts out with X and X number of years ago, such and such passed away, and then they get into this date in history, and then they move into the birthdays. Well, and this date in history, yesterday, I do believe it was, they start playing "You Give Love a Bad Name," and they say, this day, 39 years. Wait, what?
That's funny.
Bon Jovi's, for those of you that are maybe way younger than the demographic here on the screen,
right?
Bon Jovi was one of the top 1% of performing artists in the 1980s. And it was because of an album called Slippery When Wet. You Give Love a Bad Name. I got nothing else. But
that's
that
okay.
was Wanted Dead or Alive. There was like 4 or 5 songs off that album that went number 1 on the Billboard charts. And it was, I think, nominated for Album of the Year, but Bon Jovi's to date best-selling album. And it seemed like that was just yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday, some 39 years ago. I was 16 years old when that album came out. I had just gotten my driver's license. I had had my driver's license a whole 2 years. Got a car for my 16th birthday, and some dummy pulled out in front of me at an intersection like after I had the car for 2 weeks. So yeah, by the time I got my car in June, and by the time this album came out, I was carless. Anyway, coming on back, 25 years old. I did good. I remembered. I get a gold star. 25 years ago, this movie came out, and to this day, it is known as. I think who was it? Which one of you two put the thing in our chat about the top 10 football movie, top 5 football movies? Was it you, Delilah, or was it you, Tina?
No, it wasn't me.
I think it was Nick.
It might have been. Sorry, he's not with us, even though he's gonna join us eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might have been me who put the idea of like, let's do we're doing movies and we talk sports, football every week. Let's do a sports show, a show on sports movies and stuff. But I think it was Nick who came up with it about all of them. So
yeah, and this one was in the top 5, I'm sure. I mean, hands down. And there have been tons of football movies. Brian's song, Rudy, Any Given Sunday.
Brian brought up that name, Delilah.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to get into that. I don't want to upset the football folks, but
we'll get on your side.
Brian's song, super tearjerker. My God.
I don't know how you Bears fans get through it.
It's so
melodramatic and all of it.
I mean, that one also based on a true story, from my understanding, was actually pretty close to what actually happened between
I think the only thing about that movie that threw me wasn't Billy D. Williams in that movie?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they were trying to pass off Billy D. Williams as an athletic guy. I'm not to say that Billy D. Williams was not, he was young, he was very youthful at that point, but that was not the thing that Billy D. Williams was known for.
But I feel like the two, they chose the actors. Come on, let's be honest. Also, like they didn't. James Caan, as much as I love that man, obviously this was a film that they weren't looking at the athleticism, but the chops, the acting chops of seeing Billy D. Williams and James Caan being a film, and which worked because they were phenomenal.
Yeah.
So I think in this case, because this movie came out like in the 70s,
they got two good actors that were up and comers and wanting I mean, the producer.
It was a TV movie too. It wasn't even like released in theaters. It was like a TV, one of those.
I think it was a CBS movie.
Yeah, there was a time, boys and girls, long ago, or these things called made.
The Netflix films that you currently see used to be known as made-for-TV movies. Same with the series. It would be a limited time event. On ABC would have Thornbirds for the next week. And that was on every hour the ad for that came out. Yeah.
Oh, God, there was so much talk
Phoebe
about
Cates is going to be in Daniel Steele's blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, back when we had 4 channels counting PBS.
Right. So
those in Chicago had WGN. So
hey, you know what? Say what you want to say about WGN, but
I'm not picking on them. I'm just saying where I was at, we could not pick it up. So
because it's because of WGN. It's sports. There are certain sports that are known
because of WGN. I agree.
Known, well, not just them. But it's because of WGN that the Bulls were able to get that boom. Because there were certain areas in the country, like larger metropolitan areas, you could get WGN as part of your cable package, even though there were only like 15 channels. So there were people that couldn't see the Bulls play on Sunday NBA on NBC that could watch it on WGN. And then as they started to blow up, then it was everywhere. And because of in baseball, because of WTBS, when it still had the W, when it still had a W in front of it, because Ted Turner was like, I'm richer than all hell. I love my Braves. and I'm going, and then I own my. And then the only way, if the only way I can get the TV revenue is to put them on my own network, then damn it, they're going on my network.
And that's the reason why the Braves and the Cubs are popular outside their demographics, is because of those stations.
No, that's true.
They could see the Braves growing up, and you'd have family, like a lot of my friends, the Bronco, especially with the Broncos, with people like my age and older, all of them are Cubs fans because the Rockies weren't around at the time, but you could get WGN out in Chicago. So they grew up with Chicago Cubs on WGN. Same with like WTBS with but that was cable. At least with WGN, I mean, that signal went pretty damn far.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to we were talking about you were talking about the things that didn't happen. I read this and I thought it was really interesting. You know the scene where the brick gets thrown through their house? Yeah. It wasn't a brick. That scene did happen, but it wasn't a brick. It was a toilet.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
That's even worse based on the symbolism of throwing a toilet through a black man's stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, well, as it said in this Reddit that I was looking at it, like Disney Disneyfied the hell out of this story.
Yes. And that is 100% the reason why a lot of stuff that happened tied to that story, we didn't see in the movie.
Yeah.
Because throwing a toilet instead of a brick through the house of a black family.
You know what? That actually makes me think. Whoever the hell threw that toilet was strong as hell, because toilets are not light. That was not that's not a one person job.
No, that definitely was not one person. That's what they're getting at too. It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been
the amount of coordination, because you got to hold it under the toilet bowl and everything, swing it, and make sure you got the right swing, or maybe they had a giant slingshot that they got from Acme, where the Wile E. Coyote used to get all this stuff chasing after. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to make light of the situation. I'm not trying to make light of the situation because that was
but you're right though.
But yeah, I mean that is not a one person job. So
someone had a catapult.
Oh, come on. It was just a bunch of rednecks that just went out into the back of their yard where they had a toilet.
Oh, that's right. That's out, right?
Come on. It's not like they went in and took it out of their house or something.
They grabbed it from the landfill.
They went to their grandpa's, their cousin's house out in the holler.
Well, no, I got
toilet out in the back.
Hold on. That part I'm with you on. I'm just saying, okay, you've
it's heavy. Yeah.
You've obtained the toilet. Okay, you got it. It's in the back of the truck. That's a two-person. That's at least a two-person lift. The number of times
it wasn't a group of them, but can you?
There had to be. Like, I agree with Anthony. There's one person did not lunch.
Oh no, it was a plan. They came up probably last minute.
One person could throw a brick. Yeah. But a toilet, that takes planning.
That takes planning.
I'm just saying, the number of times I went to change the wax seal on the toilet and had to lift it by myself and almost threw out everything. Yeah. Unless because the bowl does connect to the tank, and if you take the tank off, anyway, we went so far down a rabbit hole to figure out.
That's a good factoid to share, Tina, because that also goes, wow, that's different. Well, we didn't see that in the movie.
In this case, I think if they had showed them throwing a toilet through their window or their house or whatever, that would have got people would have been laughing at that. The brick,
right? No, you're right. You're right.
More dramatic,
yeah.
I mean, I think you're also right with. If they had the toilet, I mean, we hate you so much. We're going to throw a shitter in your house.
Right.
Right?
But you're right.
I can see why that got Disneyfied. But
I also think you're right, Tina. I feel like the brick does have more dramatic effects. And I think you're right. I think people, not knowing the history either, because this came out in 2000, it would have taken away. People would have laughed because they would have been
It
laughing
would have
against.
taken them out of the
Yeah,
story.
for
I
sure.
think it would have
Yeah.
been like, really,
sure.
somebody really threw a toilet through their
I
house.
think this was a good decision by Disney, not just because of the implications, but also it would have taken away from the story. So the director or whoever was like, we're not going to have someone launch a toilet, because they would have pointed out what you did, Tina, which is like, people are going to laugh at this point in time, and it'll take them out of the tension, right? Because you're supposed to feel
Right.
that at this point of like,
Yeah.
they don't want him to.
Wait a minute. How did it go again, Delilah? Hey, Tina, you got some more movie plots that weren't factual?
Sharon Yoast wasn't as big of a football fan as they showed her. Yeah, she watched the games and that was the extent. And what did she say? Oh, she wasn't friends with Boone's daughter. Like they didn't end up becoming friends.
Interesting.
Coach Boone quoted that he wished she had come over to play with his daughters, but it never happened. But here's the other thing is like the real Yoast was irritated with Jerry Bruckheimer for portraying her as an only child, because she also lived with her mother and her 3 sisters. So
so you had a big family.
yeah.
Oh, just Disney doing
Yeah,
Disney
kind of
things.
like what Handy said earlier. Ronnie Sunshine Bass was not a long-haired hippie and was only portrayed in the movie as such because he was from California. So they went for the trope.
I do agree with that decision.
Oh, and the kiss didn't happen. Remember that scene when Sunshine kisses Birdie Air?
That's funny. But the making him a stereotype, I understand why, because at this time, because we have to remember the time period.
It was 1971.
You're not used to like
long-haired hippie
liberals,
boys.
right? They're not used to men looking a certain way. They're not, right? And so it kind of, because remember where this was, is it's pretty conservative, regardless if you're black or white, right? That's the part people have to remember where this is. There are, regardless if you're black or white, which I like that part, because everybody was making fun of him then. So that's
again,
kind of
you're bringing somebody in and everybody's fixating on him, and it becomes because I've also been watching there's a Vietnam documentary on Turning Point on Netflix, and this was the point at which the protests were really gearing up, and this was the point at the pot was boiling over with those that were against the war and everybody that was like, stop protesting the war. Like, this is wrong. Like, we don't agree with what you're saying. So, but
I definitely think that sorry, Kip, but I do feel like it did add to the film of like, here comes this hippie from California. Doesn't fit in with anybody. Because remember, even he didn't even fit in with the white folk when he came down there. And so that's why, so it did show too that region matters as well when you're trying to fit into a place, right? Where you're like straight up from California, like you're coming over here with your stuff, right? And stealing my position. Because that's the other part too, was he was good. And you had 2 other people vying to be quarterback. And now you have Kip coming in going, but hello, I just transferred. I want that starting quarterback position.
Yeah, it was. My dad always points out when he sees that kid, because he's a military brat. I don't know if he was in real life, but my dad was like, if that kid was a military brat, there's no way his dad would let him have hair.
Right.
The irony about the demographic that it portrays in Alexandria at that time, which I was in Georgia at that time, so I couldn't speak to it, but but the larger bulk outside of maybe the historic downtown area and certain parts of Alexandria, there are parts that have been gentrified 100%.
Exactly.
There's parts that are exclusive. But if you get into some of the rest of Alexandria, it's like total, complete opposite. Not necessarily in a not necessarily in a rundown way, but it's very multicultural down in that neck of the
Mhm.
woods now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that somebody was saying in this Reddit article is that actually that school had been integrated 6 years before the time that the movie was done. And so a lot of the integration and everything had already happened, and that it wasn't as big of a deal when Boone came in. So now, whether that's true or not, that's somebody's opinion. But if you're already been playing, but like what you said, Delilah, it was showing them like, okay, yeah, it's integrated. They hadn't been playing; they'd been playing in separate leagues.
Yeah.
And probably not even 4 or 5 years before that,
No.
they wouldn't have even played each other at all because
No.
white teams would only play white teams and black teams would only
Exactly.
play black teams.
Exactly.
So,
And I think it was also the added part of, and we still deal with that today, is he's a black coach.
yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, too,
Oh yeah.
that definitely. And like you said, they thought it was going to go to the white guy. Right. And here comes. Right. And so that part, 1,000% was what created some of the problems, right, with the program, is the fact that they brought in a black head coach, right, and we know that that's still a problem today.
Well, the way the movie
Yeah.
portrays it, the movie portrays it like he wasn't there, and then they went out and
he was already there, correct, right?
Yeah,
They
he
didn't
was
just
already
find
there
him.
as a PE
Yeah.
teacher or something like that at that point. So,
But at the time, you still elevated a black man over a white coach to take over the team. That definitely created the issues. That's really what the focal point. It wasn't just the players. Is he was elevated, like Anthony went into, over who they assumed was a shoo-in for the position already, and it wasn't, right? And so that definitely was more of what created some of this. And the assumptions that he would not be fair, which he was, right? Because they assumed he'd be lenient one side or the other, and that was not the case. He's like, nope, if you're going to make me a coach, which is what he said, right? If you're going to make me a coach, this is my program. You're not going to. And that's also created problems up the chain, right? Because he was like, if you're saying I'm supposed to bring these kids and whip them into shape, make them into champions, right? Then you have to let me do what I have to do, right? To do that. Because that was the other part of it too, was his methods. He's like, okay, you sure? Because I'm going to go.
Yeah, because the white kids were going home to their parents and complaining, and yeah.
So were the black kids, because he was like, he's not easy on me. That's the whole thing. Like, he's beating my butt. Like, I have to earn this. But I thought that was good. The other thing, just one more thing, because I know that, so Brian, I can't say his last name, the director, Bose Yakin. So Bose Yakin, I'm sorry, Brian is in my head because we were talking about Brian's son. Bose Yakin, so he did not direct a lot of hit makers after this. However, what made me giggle a little bit is his movie after Remember the Titans, okay? Serious football film about, racial tension, blah, blah, blah. His next movie came out in 2003, and it was Uptown Girls with Brittany Murphy. It's a funny movie. It's super cute.
It is a funny movie. I like that movie a lot.
You know what I mean? It's like, wow. It's like such a different, which, I mean, cool. That means he's got different, good director. He could do different things. But it was just so interesting to see, because I was curious what else he directed. I was like, oh, what other stuff did he do? And then I saw, Uptown Girls. And that's the next film that came out after Remember the
They
Titans.
were both character-driven movies.
They were.
So it's just a little bit
It was
different.
interesting. Like, I was like, okay.
It didn't have as many heavy themes as Remember the Titans did.
So as we go, wow, I have got the bad case of the stutters tonight. I sound like Jazzy Jeff on the turntable. Ron, hit two, with you. So as we go through this, and then of course we know how things ended with the Titans eventually winning the state championship. And then on the reality side of the fence, they actually wound up being ranked the number 2 school, number 2 football program in the country after the postseason rank. Yeah, number 2 in the country after the postseason rankings came out. there's not a kid that goes to TC Williams that does not know about the 71 Titans. And
Mhm.
a big part of that is you know how every school has, well, maybe not every school, but there's always a school somewhere. I was being way too broad. There's always a school somewhere that has some legendary something happen from a sports standpoint or academic standpoint, and that means something to the kids that are there at that time. But
Mhm.
then it doesn't necessarily transcend over time. 30, 40 years removed, such and such happened at this school. Um, I think because of this movie, it gave TC Williams kind of a shot in the arm.
Yeah.
And in real life, the players on the Titans team have founded, uh, they have a foundation called 71 Titans that is still very, very closely, works very, very closely with the school. And of course, they do their reunions and things of that nature, which leads me to the story I shared with you ladies. At some point, I was working for the post office, just a mere what is 25, just a mere 8 years ago. I was working with the post office in Gainesville, Virginia, which is west outside of Washington, D.C., far, far west of Alexandria, and in a retirement community. And there was this very friendly gentleman. He's about at the roughly at about the halfway point of my route. Very friendly gentleman. He always waved. Every now and then I stopped and spoke to him, whatever. And I always wondered what his license plate meant, but I never asked him any questions. I'll get to that point in a minute. And so eventually I said, "Hey man, what's with your license plate?" And he says, "Oh, well, I played at TC Williams High School." And the light bulb went on. I was like, "No shit, really? You played on that team with like Coach Boone and everybody?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah." And he's like, "Matter of fact, next time you come through, I got something for you." And so I pull up to this guy's house. It's like I rotated onto another route for a while. I pull up this guy's house around about, I guess, no, it wasn't Christmas time. It was in the spring. I remember it was very hot that day. Uh, very hot and very humid. And he was in the, I'm remembering this story, it's making me cough. He was sitting in the garage with the fattest cigar I'd ever seen. And then the closer I got to the garage, I realized it wasn't a cigar. So he's, because he's out, I'm like, man, you this early in the day? He's like, man, I'm retired. I ain't got nothing to do. And so he reaches over and he hands me this tube. Like he's like, don't open it yet. Just check it out later. So when I get to the house and I open it up, it's framed and autographed. I know you can't see it. Let me get it closer. You got a framed and autographed by just about everybody. Coach Yoast, Coach
Wow.
Boone. He's in there
Wow.
somewhere. His name is Warren. If you, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Warren Robinson. I don't know if you will ever see this podcast, but if you do, just know that your mailman is doing okay in Oklahoma City, and he still tells everybody this story about how you got me this autographed poster of
Amazing.
the 71 Titans.
It's amazing.
And that is something I always cherish. Yeah, there's matter of fact right there. There's Coach Boone and Coach Yoast signed right there next to each other, and he is. You can't really see him, but he's right there in the middle, right by and
I
my finger.
gotcha.
My fingers are about the same size as a soup spoon, so I probably covered
Nice.
like six players with it. But yeah, he turned me on to the foundation and the things that they do, and they still continue to meet. A lot of the guys from the team, of course, unfortunately, are no longer with us. PD passed
Yeah.
away in 20. Actually, ironically, as I was researching this, PD passed away in 2019. Coach Boone passed away in 2019. Coach Yoast passed away that same year, and Coach Boone's wife all passed away, all in that same year. So that's
Wow.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so this movie. This movie took something that was already legendary
Yeah.
for the students that
Mhm.
were there and just elevated it way up here. So
Great
there are
actors, great
right,
chemistry. Yeah. Great
one
writing.
100%. So this was a series. This podcast here, ladies and gentlemen, was born out of a conversation that we should talk about football movies from the aforementioned conversation that we had about our favorite football movies, and so I picked this one, and I appreciate y'all, ladies, giving a little time out of your Tuesday night to just sit and talk about this. I don't know what the hell else to talk about because again, I tried to get my favorite clip where they did the "Everywhere we go, people want more." Oh yeah, and even that part made me chuckle a little bit because that's actually a cadence that we do, that we did in the military. But yeah, we are the Titans, mighty mighty Titans, all of that.
hmm
So, ladies, I
Yeah, so
do.
Delilah, you said earlier, I found the article that I was reading. So they were in the article, they talk about what happened was three schools got combined into one. So three football programs got combined into one.
That makes more sense.
And so what they said, what this thing is, it's one of the guys who played. Um, he said Coach Boone wasn't going to cut anybody. He was going to run you away. The ones who were not serious, they were running away. By the end of the first week, the weak ones were gone and the strong survived. So that's the reason, like you talked about, like in the movie, it made it seem like they weren't as um, powerhouse as they really were. Because what they said is like they ended up with a team that had a whole bunch of all stars on it. Because the people who didn't want to put in the work or weren't strong enough to play for Boone were gone. So at that point, it was a juggernaut. So, but yeah, I like that he wasn't going to cut anybody. Because if he'd cut anybody, it could have people would have been questioning him left and right. Why are
Right.
you cutting this person? He just made you. He worked you so hard. You said, "Yeah, no, this ain't for me," and
Yeah.
walked away.
Just a footnote to that, just to confirm everything that Tina just said. When he returned back home to North Carolina to coach in the '60s, he was the head coach of a high school in Williamston, North Carolina, who had a record of 99 wins and 8 losses over 9 years.
Wow.
So he already knew what he was doing. He was like the Nick Saban of that high school district at
Wow.
that point. So he already knew what he was doing when
Yeah.
he got to TC Williams.
Yeah, and
And what about hostile?
it wasn't really talked about in the movie, but like even the cheerleaders got integrated too. So they didn't really talk about that, but in this article they talked about how like because it was a busing situation is what it was. They were bringing kids in and bringing it all. So like even like the cheerleading squad went through its own little issues of having to work with each other, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, this is
Yeah.
this is definitely in my top 5. Not my favorite football movie, but it's definitely up there.
I was trying to think about what my favorite was. I think I just really wanted to do this one just because this one has a lot of bit of a personal touch for me.
Yeah.
Just knowing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And to the best of my knowledge, Mr. Robinson is still kicking. So having grown up hearing about Herman Boone oh man, I'm sorry, y'all. I just and when you lose a loved one, sometimes you get something hit you in the face. It's just I remember growing up and hearing my dad tell me about Coach Boone and the Titans, and then by the time I met this guy and got the poster from him, my dad had already had the stroke, and so he was not able to really verbalize, but I was able to tell him the story about how, I got the thing signed by Coach Boone, and all he could just look at me and just go, yeah. And but yeah, so this one has a lot of personal touch for me. So again, ladies, thank you for indulging me with this one this evening. Hey, we gonna do this right now before we sign off. Who's picking the next football movie? Because since we're on the sports theme,
Oh, the next one we're covering? Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah,
We're doing
yeah.
another one? Oh, I thought we were going to do a baseball one, but because we're all sentimental. But whatever. We can do
Okay,
it.
we could do no. We could switch it over to baseball. Thank you for bringing that back to my memory. I was like, I'm okay. Who next? You or you? I'm gonna spin the wheel, like I'm spinning the wheel, like Wheel of Fortune.
She brought it up, so I say Delilah picks the next movie.
Okay, then, Delilah, you got the next one. We'll wait for that in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we want to thank you, and you for joining tonight's, tomorrow's, whatever time of the it's always going to be today, no, when you're watching this. How could you watch something on tomorrow? Because even when you get to tomorrow, it's still today. I digress. Thank you for watching this episode of the Roundtable Movie.
Explains time travel.
I love you so much, Puka.
I love you too, Dinklage.
Damn it, you threw me off. Now I got to start over. Hey, y'all, we appreciate you watching the show. Y'all have a good night. We'll see you next time. On behalf of my co-host, Delilah.
Good night.
We'll see you next time. Y'all take care. See ya.
See ya.